Salut, David Allin here, and the Parker Nightfly is back. My friend Devin fixed it. It's in working condition now. Great. To celebrate the occasion, I've got a lesson for you guys today. I'm going to talk about bends in an unconventional way. It's going to add a lot of character to your playing, and also a secret tip at the end of this video. To get the most out of this lesson, I would strongly recommend that you don't play with a pick at all. We're going to reconnect with the instrument. If you don't have anything between your hands and the strings, I think that's going to influence the way you play and maybe kind of rediscover what this can do for you. So we're going to talk about the minor blues scale, which you know. We all know the minor blues scale. We love it. There's a diagram here on the screen for you. It's basically a minor pentatonic scale to which we're adding an additional passing tone between the perfect fourth and the perfect fifth. So it's, in essence, a 6-note scale. And one of these notes is that passing tone. That's the blue note. And it's usually a transitional note, a note that you don't want to land on. So we're going to work in the key of A minor pentatonic. We're going to use this slice of the fretboard between frets 5 and 8. And yes, I know there are no dots here for you to follow along. They're actually on the side. But hopefully this will make sense. I'll make sure to list the diagram here too. So we're using this slice of the fretboard, position number 1. And the minor pentatonic scale is a 5-note scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that blue note is found on the 5th string between frets 5 and 7. Right there. So that blue note, you can land on it. It's going to open up things. It's sounding a little bit outside. But what we're going to do here is actually play that blue note so that it's heard. It's sounding like an actual note, and bend it a half step so that it sounds exactly like the next note of the scale. And then the next step is to realize that that passing tone, that blue note, which is a diminished fifth or an augmented fourth, depending on how you want to look at it, that blue note is only used as a passing tone, a transitional note. Therefore, any note that is in between two notes of the scale can have the same function, a passing tone. And you can approach it like you did with that blue note. So we're filling in the blanks. Anytime we have two notes separated by 2 frets, which happens on strings 5, 4, 3, we can add that additional passing tone, which we can consider a blue note if we want to, and do that kind of bend trick. And then we can go one step further by taking any note that is 1 fret below a note of the minor pentatonic scale and bend it to make it right. And that's what gives you this kind of effect there. With a pick, it wouldn't sound quite the same. This really helps you extract all the character of that. And that's my thought here. It's kind of very Jeff Becky in a way. All right, so far nothing magical. It's just taking a note that's outside, making it right by bending it to reach a note of, in this case, the minor pentatonic scale. let's now discover why I think you should use that. Not only because it sounds cool, not only because of the character thing, but also because it's going to help you figure out which key you're playing in. All of the typical scales that are going to work on a minor chord have inside of them a hidden minor pentatonic scale, and that's why we naturally gravitate around that pentatonic scale whenever we hear a minor context, whether it's Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian, we gravitate around the minor pentatonic scale. The notes that are missing to your minor pentatonic scale to make it a full 7-note mode are going to be the second and the sixth. And the question is, what kind of second and what kind of sixth? Is it a major second, a minor second, a major sixth, a minor sixth? You don't always know, especially if your ear is not trained. Well, take a look at this. If we take our minor pentatonic scale in its first position, the first slice of the fretboard between frets 5 and 8 if we're in A, that minor pentatonic could be extracted either from Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian, we're not quite sure. And what would make that minor pentatonic Aeolian, Dorian, or Phrygian is the second or the sixth. So we don't know which ones they are, but first let's determine where we would find that sixth and that second within that area of the fretboard, within that slice of the fretboard. The second, whether it's major or minor, can be found most of the times on the high E string, and the major second will be 2 frets higher than the root, so that's the 7th fret. The minor second, 1 fret lower. So it's going to be in that zone of the fretboard, on that first string. You also have one on the 3rd string. Here's the major second. The minor second will be 1 fret lower, and that's reachable within your minor pentatonic scale. And the low E string also. You have a major second and a minor second. Okay, so 3 strings on which you're going to, most of the time, play that second. The 6th is going to be found on the 2nd string. So we have a major 6th if we're in A minor pentatonic on the 7th fret, and a minor 6th 1 fret lower. And you also have a 6th on the 4th string. You have a major 6th 1 fret lower than the 5th fret, so that's the 4th fret, that's the major 6th, and the minor 6th 1 fret lower again. So you have zones of the fretboard where you could find these. If you're in a context where you're jamming, you don't have time to ask or figure out the chords, stick to your minor pentatonic scale, and then use that trick, that bend trick, by playing a note half step below a correct note. And as you're doing that, not only does it sound cool, but you're training your ear to hear if, let's say you are on the high E string, you're bending 1 fret below the minor third to make it right. It doesn't matter whether that starting point is a correct note or a wrong note. It doesn't matter because you're making it correct by bending it. But as you're doing this, in this case I'm starting with the major second, I'm paying attention to the starting note. Does that fit the feel of my track of the chords? If it does, then you figured out that it's a major second. If it doesn't, it doesn't matter because that particular instance of playing will still work over it because you're making a wrong note right. And if that starting note that you're focusing on doesn't quite sound right over the backing track, then you know that it's a minor second that you want. If you are completely lost with this lesson, don't worry about it. You will get it eventually, and all you need to take out of this is that you can take a note that works, play a half step below, that's 1 fret below to the left side, and make it right by half bending it. That's going to add a really cool flavor to your improv. Playing with the finger will help you reconnect with the instrument. I'm not saying that picks are bad, but it's a good way to practice this. And that's what you need to get out of this. If you got more from it, the ear training part, the modal part, awesome. That's great. Regardless, feel free to leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. And like this video if you did. Share it around. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't already because there's some cool material on here. Yep. And of course, if you want to go further with this kind of concept, if you want backing tracks to work on these different things, check out my website, guitarplayback.com. There's tons of content on there. Some regular things are added. and I hope to see you there. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.